are you worried about like pressure on like political topics? I mean, I know you brought up like
Hmm.
geopolitics,
Hmm.
but especially like American domestic politics, uh, could be like an area where I could imagine. Um, I mean, I don't know. The news is largely alleviated from that pressure in the U.S., but that's like an
Yes.
area that could be a concern.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. I mean, to tell you the truth, when we started this, I kind of didn't want to have politics. I just wanted to avoid this issue, but that was naive and very quickly changed our mind because even if you're, say, following just interesting niche topics like, crypto and tech and AI and science and things like that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you follow a bunch of biology accounts, for example, I mean, like good ones, PhD scientists writing about stuff, 95% of the content is not about biology. There's
Right.
probably more biologists talking about Trump than about biology. So, given that's the case, kind of the correct way to handle it is you might as well handle the Trump thing, and then you can identify it and it's just part of your system. And it's like it's easy for the model to be like, yeah, they're actually talking about this politics thing, and everyone's talking about it. I mean, you really can't run away from it in America, I don't think. I mean, you can suppress it, of course, the way we suppress sports. Um, as far as pressure, yeah, I mean, in America, I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially the kind of stuff that we're doing. Um, yeah, maybe, who knows, right? But I would say one thing. So I sort of forgot what a concern it is for some people because it's just not a concern for us. But I was
Mm.
talking with a gentleman yesterday. Not going to dox him or anything, but he works for, he works on technology stuff, LLMs, whatever, for one of the large FAANG companies, and he was very concerned about not just the so-called disinformation, but the model saying anything mean or bad or people using it. Like, it's actually kind of interested in his perspective, but he's like, yeah, he doesn't want the models for his group to ever be possible to be used to like post something mean on Reddit. So he was thinking of these concocted ways how it could possibly happen. And I'm thinking like, yeah, I guess on some level it does make sense. If you're a big company, that's like embarrassing for you as a problem. Um, for us as a small company, say somebody managed to somehow wrangle our model and get it to say something mean and post it, that's
Mm.
just free publicity. So first of all, our model is very clearly not trying to be mean. I mean, talk about the news. There's very little really weird stuff in there at all.
Yeah.
Like it would be hard for you to have a spicy conversation with a model. But if you manage to pull it off and you posted about it, like A, nobody cares, but two, to the extent they care, it's just more publicity for us. Like I love it. As a startup, nobody knows who you are. You want people to know who you are, generally speaking. Maybe not at the same time. Maybe you want that publicity to grow in a certain way, but if you're a large company, including frankly OpenAI, like they've been pretty compliant at the high level with sort of some of the sensitivity police and censorship, but I really don't blame them at all. Like they're trying to build their thing and they don't want to have problems. Like so it's easiest to actually a story that I saw just today.
Yeah.
You can see it on our site now. There was, I guess, just a kind of a small story, but it popped up. It was apparently at some sort of session, some climate protest, showed up at, Chairman Powell, doing something on the Capitol. I don't really know what was going on, but basically the story was basically like, the Jerome Powell told them to like close the effing door, something like that. That was the quote,
Yeah.
right? And that's like clearly the quote. People do the F star, quote, but like that's what people reported it as consistently. And our version of the story said he said close the door and got rid of the F thing. And you know, that's kind of annoying because it screws up the story, makes the story very confusing. Like the story is much more clear if you just write the code correctly.
Mm.
And you're seeing that in a lot of the models because obviously we're using third party models, whether we're fine tuning them or using an API. And I think definitely you have seen at the margin kind of like censorship, of course, but also just sort of like sensitivity training that comes off as kind of weird, you know? Like I don't think anybody really minds that the model would just report the quote, but if you force the model to be like very not mean, then it just, I don't know. At the end, you end up with a strange situation. So that's an issue. but I would say more for us as users, like of these models. Like I don't really care if the model reports quotes correctly. I think it should report the quotes correctly. I think even the New York Times will write the quote correctly, actually.
Mm.